Yo, if I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one. That's right. Look from the locks and jaws of Satan, I come creating, penetrating with force from the land of the lost and coming. Like Muhammad got the devil on the run, rising like the sun.
About this right here. I gave every one of y'all copies right here. It says right here. Now, Matt McGowan had one, all y'all had one. It says, Commissioner Roper, deposition testimony. You heard what I said? Matt McGowan says a summary. Now, he's a lawyer, you know that? He had a copy of this. That's what it said right here. It says, Commissioner Roper, deposition testimony. Now, I'm going to tell you what Mr. Roper said about this testimony. You understand that? About this waste, this sewage, this water sufficient policy. Y'all said that was suspended. That policy never was suspended. Now, you through, Preston. You write the news too. Now, you wrote about them going on that trip. Spending, what, $1,700? Why you put this in the paper about Francis Lott, Griffin, Dennis Joseph, getting all this free, water sewer ran free behind closed doors. I found out about the policy, then y'all said suspended. It wasn't never suspended. Why you put that in the paper? Preston, huh? Douglas Enterprise, where you at? Why you put that in the paper? But you don't put in the paper about what they done, little penny money, and here you go, they spending $1,000 on water waste sewer. It cost me $42,000 to run mine. Now, what you think it cost them? They supposed to be bigger than mine. Then y'all complaining about, hey, every time black the way this newspaper is biased towards black. That's why I'm suing it. I meant what I said. I don't care how much money I spent, I'm going to sue the city too. Come on. And Charlie Taylor, how I directed something to about the dollar threat? You tell me. How I directed a threat to him? What did I say? You mean tell me a physical speech about a 9mm or she ain't going? That's a physical speech. It's like 100 going, so I got a 12-gauge shotgun. That's a lie. You put that paper. And I'm going to show you in this city him. It's time out for y'all to come up here and do black like when you're wrong, you're wrong. If your city commission take heat, don't run for city commission. You got that? Don't run. You can't take the heat.
We got your
It's enough of this violent stuff going on with black. Every time black come up there, the city don't make the city. Y'all make the city look bad. The city is making the city look bad. Do right, you will have that problem you want.
Mr. Allen, I completely agree with you.
That's what I say.
I do.
And I'm going to sue back up here.
Because
I'm going to sue the enterprise paper.
you did not make a
That's
trade.
right.
You
And
didn't
you
make a
press
trade
them.
that day.
I wish you wrote something about me. I was suing you too, the paper. But all that about them that will finish little $1,700, they go friends now, spend all this money on them behind closed doors, running water sewer line free. That's what it costs to go, running the water sewer line free.
Yeah.
They got found about a population suspended. I'm finna read what Commissioner definition, which all y'all had. You two said, I just do telling help. I ain't prejudiced. You ain't prejudiced. You had the definition here. All that to read what Mr. Roper said, ain't credible been in here 30 years. I'm finna read on every one of y'all listen to this. Hear me? Meant what I say. Oh, all y'all listen to this. On June the 27th, 2003, plaintiff deposed Mr. Roper's deposition. When questioned about it, Mr. Roper stated that he didn't remember the policy changes. He knew he didn't vote to change it. You got that? He said that the policy suspicion could have happened, but not while he was in office. Now, he was in office way after I read this subdivision. You tell me now. Right. And this is the last statement he said. Last statement he said was, Mr. Roper claimed to have no personal recollection when the study policy was suspended. Now y'all had this right here. All you had to do right about it. Y'all let friends not all them run it free, pay for it free behind closed doors. Hey, if you gonna do what you advertise, put everybody want to. Everybody like to put a study in. They gonna run the water line. City gonna pay for it free for it. But they put none of that in the paper. None of it. You need a president. You put none of them neither. But put it about them there going on that trip down to eat to $1,700. They ain't chicken change. That's what I said. That's right. I wish you wrote something about me too. I was be suing your paper too. I mean what I say.
$1,700 were also for hotel expenses.
I know. They don't mean that. Look how much they spend on them.
Not just
run the water sewer line. It cost me $42,000 to run mine. They certainly bigger than mine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand your compassion, Mr. Allen, and again, I apologize that you have not been compensated.
You don't have no my attorney real well. He don't sue the city twice.
Yeah.
And more than brother, I'm gonna wear your brother out too, see. I mean what I say.
Yes.
I'm gonna wear the newspaper out too. I went there on Friday morning.
Mr. Allen, the mayor pro tem has a question.
My question would be, because I was gonna bring this up in the meeting too, as well. I wanna know who submitted this to Douglas Enterprise.
No, who did, Charlie? They did too.
Who submitted
That's
it?
incorrect, Ron.
Well,
You got to ask the city
City
manager.
manager.
it's in the paper here.
City manager.
Wait,
Who
Mr.
submitted
Allen,
it
hold
to
on.
Douglas Enterprise?
No, I got paper right
The
here.
reason why I said that was
Here's on the paper. I can read everything you said right here.
Let the city
Last
manager-
week paper.
Mr. Allen.
Well, go ahead and say it. I wanna know too.
Mr. City Manager, who submitted that to the Douglas Enterprise?
Have no idea. It's their normal recap from their commission meeting. If you
So
look
where
at,
did they get it from? They wasn't.
Somebody.
if you look at the agenda items from last time and the newspaper article, it went out of its way to make sure no names were mentioned. So
But also on that article, it has our comments that we said in the last meeting.
That's right.
So therefore, we have the comments that we said in the last meeting. All of my comment that was in there wasn't all to what I said in that last
you'd
meeting.
have to ask the Douglas Enterprise because their representative was here. I mean, nobody that I know of submitted anything to
She
them.
was here. Chrissy was here.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Commissioner, let me read this article, okay? I want everybody to hear this article. We gonna find.
And y'all all have an article provided up at your desk.
Let me read the article, okay? The article says right here. This is what the article says. City address safety days after individual make further remarks. During the last city of Douglas Mayor and Commission meeting on Tuesday, November the 13th, Mayor Tony Paul and the Commission discussed the safety and security concerning the Douglas City Hall by the incident at an October meeting where an individual made 30 remarks directed to a commissioner. City Manager Charlie Davis stated that the point of this conversation was not just revolving around the particular incident, but was meant to talk about security as a whole in the current building. During October 22nd meeting, an individual allegedly made a remark, I got a 9mm.
9mm. Towards.
Oh, I got it right here. Toward one of the city commissioners. According to Davis, the comment sparked several department heads, regular staff, and some council members approaching him concerned about the safety and security. They have been very concerned about this individual erratic behavior, disrespect for council members, threatening body language, Davis said. They also stated that the police have looked into the threat and said, now I'm gonna tell you something. I wish the police department would have arrested you, you understand that? For threat. So I didn't threaten nobody. I wish they would have arrested me. Then I'll be to the police department. I meant what I say.
Finish reading it.
I'm finna finish that. Hold your horse. I'm on the jungle now.
Okay.
All right? I'm on the jungle.
Come on.
All right. David stated that the police have looked into the threat and said the best we can determine is that the threat was conditional, not unconditional. Commissioner Edwin Taylor stated, we do need to have security at all times during our meeting for the safety of the commission and all who attend. I definitely think that's something we need to look into because in this day and time, you never know what is going on in an individual's mind. Commissioner Karen Darn followed. I understand we need to have security, but we do not have the Douglas Post. We do have the Douglas Post Department here, but if they could beef that up a little bit and maybe get a metal detector, I think it would be great because you never know what incident might occur. I think this is a time to talk about this because I don't want to have this conversation after an event. So do we do something now or wait until something possible happens? Before the event or after the event? Is why I'm bringing this up. Mayor Tony Park stated, yes, I am all for being proactive. I agree. Commissioner McNeil replied, there is nothing wrong for a citizen to come here and tell us we are idiots and get upset because of situations. What is not okay is when that conversation becomes harmful or threatening. We got to make sure we know the difference. Mayor Park responded, considering the intention that people have in this day of time, I can agree that something should be in place. Commissioner
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission meeting. This will serve as our regular meeting for January the 29th, 2019. And
Commissioner Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, good evening to everybody.
Good evening.
I'd like to say that to the citizens of Douglas, I did not get an opportunity to go to GMA this past week, but I'd like to continue to encouraging my fellow commissioners to make sure that they continue to go. GMA classes are very informative, and I have once I started got on the council, I began going, and I really enjoy what the classes that they offer. It really does help you to be a better public servant. I have one more award to receive, and then by the time I get that one, they'll probably come up with another one. But anyway, I plan to get that one as soon as I can. But I'm glad you all had a great time in Atlanta for GMA. The other thing that I want to say is I did have an opportunity to attend the ML King events that were held the other week, and they were great. I really enjoyed the youth presentations that they made, and the committee had classes that were offered for the youth, you know, that taught them various skills about subjects as bullying and doing the right thing or whatever. So I think we are continuing to go in the right direction with our young people and with our Martin Luther King celebration here in Coffee County. One thing that I didn't see, I expected more participation, and I'm gonna say this, and you know, from our other part of our community, the Hispanics and our whites. Dr. King was not just a figure for black people. He was a figure. He was for peace, and he was for everyone, women, men, Hispanics, whites, black. He was just about equality. So in the future, I just hope and pray that we can be more inclusive with having more and better participation, you know, from all of our diverse cultures here in Coffee County. And that's that for that. But let's keep in mind, you know, what he died for and what he stood for. I think at the last meeting I said he gave his life, and that was a misstatement. He didn't give his life, but his life was taken for equality. So let's keep that in mind, and let's all try to see if we can try to do better with working together with one another. The other thing I'd like to mention is on this past weekend I had an opportunity to attend the 35th, I think, or 39th retirement celebration for Reverend Benny Wilkie and Dr. Mary Ann Wilkie, pastor of Gaines Chapel AME Church. Mr. Wilkie, Pastor Wilkie, he has pastored for over 35 plus years. His last few years have been served here in Douglas Coffee County. They have done a great job, not only at Gaines Chapel, but they really had an influence on me and how they were willing to serve. They had the Read and Feed program at Gaines Chapel to try to help young people boost up their literacy skills, and that's just great. They came here to Coffee County working, so I just really want to send out my appreciation to Pastor and Dr. Wilkie. A lot of times pastors and whatever might come to your communities and you don't see very much from them or hear very much, but I can say that those two people came here and they have really been working since they've been in Coffee County. Last thing I think it is that I like to mention, I want to thank our city manager, Mr. Hudson, whomever had a part, Mr. Kevin, for y'all's involvement here in Douglas. I can say it makes a difference. When I came back from Okefenokee occasion the other week and we turned on Lupo Lane, it was lit up. So thank you guys, whoever had a hand in making that happen. So when people turn off of Baker Highway to Lupo Lane, you can see people if they're walking now. So that was definitely a safety enhancement. So I appreciate that. And I think, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. My comments are as follows. Of course, went up to the GMA this past weekend, and when I go off to training, I try to confirm that we're doing processes correctly in the city of Douglas. I also try to learn how we can improve the processes that we are doing. The other thing is stop doing something that we're doing it wrong. So those are normally the things I go looking forward to. This time I had a theme about law enforcement. I went to Ferguson 2 and then a class with Commissioner Gower. I mean, it can be really tedious. The instructor used me as an example, just simple handcuff, but how the officer gets the person that they arrested up could be very interesting. He the first time he just grabbed my shoulders and he pulled me up, and I was like, hey, you know, it hurt my shoulder a little bit. Then he said, hey, uncross your legs, put your right foot out, and then got up. There was no stress on the body whatsoever. He said there should be all type of procedures in the police departments about how to handcuff somebody. Just a million things over there.
Right.
So I actually have some homework, because I got to go back and read the slides. So there'll be something coming your way, City Manager. The other thing is the basketball team. Our basketball team will get ready to go into the playoffs, as Commissioner Gowan said, undefeated in the state of Georgia, 20-2. We're playing tonight. So I would advise you, if you don't go to the game, Stephanie Graham Butler, go to Facebook. She's always live. That's how I watch the games if I can't get there. So the teams are doing really well. According to Dr. Cummings, we'll play Friday, and then we'll play here Friday, and then we're gonna host the region here the following week. So please, you get a chance to come on out there, and let's not only yell at the referees, but let's yell for our young team. The next thing is, look, Valentine's Day is, hey, look, fellas, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out. I'm telling you, next month, don't be going up there being cheap. Don't be cheap. It ain't about the money, but you gotta let them feel it now. If you don't know what she wants, go to the teller. Go on the inside of the bank, get some blue money. You know what I mean? Don't go get no 5s and 10s and 20s. Go get some blue money. Okay? Look, I'm already good. My wife already ordered hers. So I'm good. Fellas, I'm telling you, I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying. You got to do it. Valentine's Day. And wives, girlfriend, don't say, oh, the mayor told you to get me something, you didn't get me that. No, don't put me in there. Don't put me in there. I'm just saying, fellas, do right. And fellas, if you have a daughter, you need to buy her something. You are the first male in her life. And she will judge every other male by those standards. I'm just telling you. Works miracles. My last comment is about Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. I'm always perplexed why we call him Dr. King and he was a pastor. Why we put an earthly title above, the religious title. But that's neither here nor there. At the celebration Sunday night, I try to be a deep thinker. And I've been asking people this question. Who led the civil rights movement before Dr. King? Because it was going on before he arrived. But there was a lot of confusion, a lot of arguing, violence. We have a tendency not to remember those individuals. But it was going on before Dr. King. So where there was discord, we don't remember those individuals. Now think about this right here. We had violence. And then here comes a young man, said nonviolence is the way, and the world literally stops and celebrates his nonviolent approach. Willing to sit down and have a conversation. That's amazing to me. So, and the reason why I say that is, who do we remember? Who do we remember? People that wanted change prior to Dr. King, or somebody that actually came up with an effective plan to enact change. And that's what I try to get people to understand. The path that the civil rights movement was on, it wasn't going anywhere. There were no high-level conversations going on. Nobody was at the White House. Nobody was talking to the senators or anything like that. Dr. King comes in, all of a sudden, there's these conversations. All of a sudden, their laws changed. Mentalities changed. So the reason why I say that is this right here. In order for us to get better, we have to get better individually first. Then we get better as a community. And it goes from there. So, with that being said, always remember this right here. Michael Jackson said, man in the mirror. That's who it starts with. That's who it starts with. And I think Dr. King decided that it was going to start with him. So, with that being said, Dr. King, appreciate everything. MLK committee did an outstanding job. Just love it, love it, love it. Had a good time. However, the citizens did not let me rest that day. I running all over the place, but that's all right. We're good. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Going to get some medication. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission meeting. This will serve as our regular meeting, March 25th, 2019. See? Next, we will have the approval of the order of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have the items placed on the consent agenda. As always, our city manager will read off the items. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 7 items being brought forward on the consent agenda tonight. From the work session, we have item number 1, approval of the March 11th, 2019 minutes. Item 2, approval of the purchase of a new 2019 32-foot gooseneck enclosed trailer. Item 3, approval to increase purchase and spending limits on electrical transformers up to $30,000. Item 4, approve declaring equipment as surplus. Item 6, approval of the Electric Cities of Georgia Pole Attachment Service Amendment and Resolution. Item 7, approval of the MGAG voting delegates for the 2019 annual meeting. And item 8, approval of the request for road closure there at South Georgia State College. Those are items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. At this time, I entertain a motion for all items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion?
Discussion.
Yes.
Regarding the item, just a moment. I just had it. This, regarding the item for the minutes at the last meeting, I just like to state it in the record regarding my request to be able to travel the day before for the Savannah trip in June, that it was, I don't know what the discussion was that you all held, because I walked out of the room, but however, before I walked out, I like to have it added into the minutes that Commissioner McNeil began to discuss before I walked out, that what Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Roper are able to do. I want to make sure that that's added into the minutes, because I did hear her say that, which whatever they are able to do has nothing to do with what I'm able to do. So I need that to be a part of the minutes, and anything else that would show a discrepancy regarding my being able to travel the night before. Thank you.
Okay, since there's those items that are on the consent agenda, and Commissioner Pearson, wants to make an amendment to those minutes. So, Commissioner Moore, do you want to leave the minutes as the same, or incorporate what Commissioner Pearson said?
Well, I just voted to approve them as they were in the previous commission meeting. But what I think she's referring to is the motion that was made and passed on the new travel policy that this, and I wasn't here for that meeting, that she's referred to the travel policy that was passed and by the group that was here at that time. And that was for the travel pay, the food, the mileage or whatever was, it was, I think we need to, so everybody can be clear on that, is to pull that up when that policy was passed, the travel policy. And I can't really say yay or nay because I wasn't here, and the policy as to how it was, it needs to be brought up and discussed, because I don't think anybody here was here. Well, I don't know who was here when it was changed.
Okay, so the question before us is, do you want to incorporate what Commissioner Pearson said about the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not necessarily asking you all to amend the minutes because, see, I know you all are going to vote to not do it. Okay? So you don't have to pose that question. Okay. I'm stating verbally that I heard Ms. McNeil say before I walked out about, well, Commissioner Roper and Commissioner Moore, they would travel on the day of sometimes. And I stated, oh, you didn't say that?
That was not my exact.
Okay, she's shaking her head that she didn't say that. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. She said that. And when she said that, that's when I began to get aggravated because I remember saying to her, I'm not Commissioner Moore and I'm not Commissioner Roper. So whatever they can do, that does not apply to me because their body isn't my body. And I also told you you're not my doctor. So I'm stating, and again, not asking you all to amend it.
Okay.
Because, like I say, you're not going to. You never do when it comes down to me. But I'm stating at this meeting, in these minutes, and on the television, and Miss Nicole quote me what Miss McNeil said, that what I heard her say before I walked out, and that's why I walked out. So you don't have to waste time and carry anything to a motion about amending no minutes.
Okay.
But I know that that was unfair for her to say what Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Roper can do and try to compare my body to theirs. So you don't have to waste your time, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
We're asking your fellow commissioners whether or not they want to amend something or not.
So we have a motion and a second. We had one discussion, any more discussion? All in favor? Consent agenda, all in favor? Motion carries. Next.
Mayor, we have one item being brought forward. That would be item 5 from the work session. This will be the first reading to change an ordinance to allow status of non-certified code enforcement officers.
This will be the first reading. We'll have the second reading at the next meeting, so you don't take any action on this ordinance tonight. Be it ordained by the Mayor and Board of Commissioners of the City of Douglas, a regular meeting assembled in pursuit of lawful authority thereof, that the code of ordinance of the City of Douglas, Georgia, is amended and status amended as follows. There is hereby created a status of designated employees as non-certified code enforcement officers. Said individuals may be assigned by the city manager and/or the community development director to any city employee within the community development department for the effective and efficient enforcement of the city code.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission meeting. This will serve as our regular meeting for May 20th, 2019. Commissioner Pierce.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a question. Mr. City Manager, do you know if we got an answer to my question last week about G.B.R with the retirees being able to change their benefits?
I don't have an answer today. I know the answer without having their official answer, but it deals with the actuarial. Once somebody retires, their actuarial is locked into a payment structure, because you know it's based on the age of differences of your spouse and yourself, and then once somebody retires, it gets locked into an actuarial figure. But I don't believe we've spoken with G.B.R, but we will this week.
To see if it would be possible
Right.
to amend that
Yes,
or
ma'am.
whatever? Okay. All right. I just didn't, want y'all to forget, so if you can
Yes, ma'am.
get an answer for me. Thank you. The other thing is, I'd like to commend all of our participants, parents, and coaches for their accomplishments and participation with GRPA at the track meet. Just really congratulate Mr. Ronnie Graham. He's just been so committed to working with our kids in all sports. So I really appreciate him and his wife, Miss Sophia. As Commissioner Gowan stated, I'd like to congratulate all of our graduates as well. Last week, and when I say graduates, I mean all the way from pre-K, kindergarten, or whatever.
all over.
Yes, all to high school and college. I went out last week to Eastside because a couple of my grandchildren, they got awards and everything, and I tell you, I just really had a great time, and the children were just so enthused getting their awards, and it just lets us know that learning is lifelong. And I brought this cup tonight because it says the influence of a good teacher can never be erased, and that's just so true. This actually belongs to my daughter, who is an educator as well, and I've always said there are two professions, I think, that we should be willing to really put our life on the line for, and that's being an educator and a doctor, because doctors got to be concerned about their patients to try to save their lives, and teachers have to be concerned about their students to teach them how to make a life. So those are two professions that's really important, and it really takes you loving people and loving that field to do an excellent job at it. So I commend our teachers because your job is so important, and I commend the graduates. Please keep on doing the best that you can do. Regarding what Commissioner Durham stated about the homeless, I just like to say, Mr. City Manager, at our next meeting, I would like for us to have an executive session to discuss some things, because there were some things we were looking at prior to Mr. Jacobs leaving. And Pastor Dawn and the lady that came here, Reverend Lynette Richardson, they both were interested in trying to work with the homeless. So we do have a problem, and I don't want those ladies to think that we have dropped the ball on that. And I'm saying executive session not just for that, because I know that's not an issue we go in executive session about, but because of some land that we have that I wanted us to talk about, possibly, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And last thing I have, I know last week I told y'all that on this past Saturday, Mr. Joe Beasley, who is with the Rainbow Push Coalition and the General Missionary Baptist Convention, he was supposed to be at Shiloh, but he had death in his family, so he had to cancel this past Saturday, and it's been rescheduled to June the 1st. That's a Saturday also, June the 1st, 12 o'clock noon, and it will be at Shiloh. So just re-announcing that, so to those of you who thought that it was this Saturday, I tried to put it on Facebook, but I don't know how many people it reached, but it will be June the 1st. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission meeting. This will serve as our regular meeting, July the 11th, 2019. Next on the agenda, we have the consent agenda items. As always, we will turn this over to our city manager, Mr. Charlie Davis. He'll read those items.
Mayor and Council, we have 6 items covered on the consent agenda. First item is the approval of the June 27, 2019 minutes. Second item, item 2, approval of the awarding of the 2018 CDBG construction contract. Item 3, discuss or approval of the number 9 final pay request on the widening project and change order number 5 on this widening project. Item 4, approval of the Roland Sean Way Elixir change order number 2 and number 3. Item number 5, approval of the ECG of request for statewide Verizon AT&T wireless agreements. And item 8, which will be the 6th item, approval of the resolution to create a complete count committee. Those are your items on the consent agenda.
At this time, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion? Yes.
The Department of Community Affairs, CDBG grant. So which area, Ms. Henderson, would that be? Would that construction award be going to where?
Yeah, it's over in the Unity Park. It actually gonna be along the streets of West Bryant Street, Phillip Street, Railroad Street, Cherry Street, Magnolia, Chester Avenue, and Letitia, and also Grady, Daltrey, South College Avenue, Manila, all those streets in that area.
Okay, so were all those streets included? I must have missed it. Was it included in our agenda?
It wasn't, because when we brought the grant for approval, this is for the award of the construction contract.
Bid, for the bid, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second question, change order, Mr. City Man, I think that's the city manager,
on that one?
or is that Mike? Mike Hudson?
Yes, ma'am. Which one are you?
The first one that's on the agenda?
That's the widening, is that the widening project? Yeah, the widening project, this is the final pay request that we've got to pay on that project since it's completed. I don't know if you rode through and seen the 2 detention ponds they added right in front of the Alltel store. It's got a fence around it. And there's one in front of the Dollar Tree Plaza.
Okay.
That was not originally in the contract.
Okay.
We had to relocate some water line in front of the Dollar Tree, and we also had to re-elevate a couple of fire hydrants because of some back slope changes. And we also had to replace a piece of, put a piece of casing over a sewer pipe due to that same detention pond in front of the Dollar Tree. So that change order was $34,000 something dollars. And this, like I say, will be the final pay request, so we can close that contract.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you. I think that was all, unless there's some clarifications that you might want to give Mr. Hudson for the change orders 2 and 3.
All right, Rolling Some Way was a grant project that the city had to do on behalf of Elixir Industries when they built the new anodizing facility. They had some funds left, about $38,000. I'm speaking off here, maybe less than that.
Okay,
They basically had some funds left. DCA said it would be better if they could utilize those funds instead of trying to turn them back in. So DCA asked that Statewide Engineering give them some proposals. They gave them 3 or 4 proposals. The only one that fit the criteria was to do some turnout lanes off of the new road into the spec building that they purchased from the EDA. So that's what the project was. And then the other change order, there were 2 of them. One of them was the overage and unders part that we always do on every project.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is Mayor and Commissioners' comments. Let's go, Commissioner Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Only thing that I think that I have tonight is, well, first of all, I need to know, are we having an executive session tonight? You don't have anything? Okay, because it's been like over a month or so now. I've asked about an executive session, and when we carried it to a vote the last time that I was here, which is over a month, and I think before you went on vacation, I expressed that I wanted to have an executive session to discuss some things. And the majority of the council voted not to go into executive session. So I'm just trying to find out, are any of you planning to go into executive session to find out my concerns or whatever?
I don't have any intentions of going into executive session without knowing why we're going into executive session.
Okay, before when we go into executive session, it's always on there, personnel issues, land, whatever. That's what's usually put on there.
Correct.
There's no need to reveal out in an open meeting the specifics of going into executive session. If that's the case, you just might as well do it in open meeting and not discuss it in executive session.
Well, I think that the council should have a heads up about what.
Personnel issues.
Okay.
Personnel issues, and also before you left to go on vacation, I told the mayor and council I wanted to discuss an issue concerning possible land concerning the city. A land issue that the city owns. So is that enough explanation? Or do you want me to go ahead and fully divulge what it is I want to talk about in executive session? Because I can, if that's what you all would like.
I'm saying this right here. I think that the rest of the council, we should have a heads up about what you're going to discuss so that we would have an opportunity to do our own research and say what we're talking about.
Okay. All right then.
So can you award us?
Every time we go into executive session, we do not know what exactly we're going to be talking about so that we could do advanced research. I've been in several executive sessions and that has not been the case. But since it's an issue about trying to go into executive session regarding some concerns, I'm going to go ahead and put it out here. Now, there are some things going on within the city of Douglas that's not right, and it needs to be addressed. For instance, the issue with employee Greg Nugent, the issue with employee, what's his name, Greg Leverett, probably some other issues that I'm not quite aware of right now, but I've gotten some information pertaining to some stealing by city employees that's going on. And further, the last thing concerning the issue of the land that I wanted to talk about, before Mr. Jacobs left, he mentioned some possible land that we had, or we have, that could be possibly used for a shelter for those who are homeless. Never before out of 20 years have I ever had a trouble getting into having an executive session to discuss issues. Why do you need to research something? Nothing needs to be researched. We talk about it there. And then if it needs further research, when we go out of there, research is done and brought back to an executive session. What are you afraid of? So, okay, so I put it out here. You asked me, I told you. The issue with employee Sheila Bivens, 30 years employee, but then she's overlooked for getting a promotion. She's worked in that department 30 years, the police department. She's overlooked and somebody was being hired who has never worked for a police department. Never. Not one day. Ms. Bivens has GCIC certification, NCIC certification. The person that was going to be hired to do it had no certification. No certification. And Ms. Bivens was going to have to train this person to do the job? To do the job? Mr. Mayor, you're aware of this. Why should I have to bring this up? You're well aware of what's going on. You should have brought this stuff up to executive session to deal with these issues. You should have. I'm done with my comments, and since you wanted to know, you got it. But now, I'm not interested in going into executive session.
You concluded?
I conclude, and I thank God that everybody had a good trip and back to and from Amelia Island.
As my man can recollect, when the city manager, Charlie, wasn't here, we voted, it was 4-2 to have executive session. And I was on the assumption that the reason why we didn't have the executive session was because Charlie wasn't here and Mike was acting in role. He was acting in role as, you know, leading us in everything. And that's the thought that I had. That's why we did not go into executive session, was because of that. Because that's what I was on the assumption of. Because that was what was said.
How many meetings has Mr. Davis been back to now since then?
It's the first.
No, it's not.
The second one.
Thank you. The other thing that I'm gonna say is that, you know, I'm not gonna get into detail about incidents last week and whatever. What I will say to the public is that those people who know me and know what I stand for. And I just like to ask that you use common sense when you read our newspapers, when you watch the news. People who are writing stories, they write the stories the way they want to write it. A lot of times it's regardless of what the truth may be. And I can definitely say that in my case, it was a lie which was written, and I really don't appreciate it. And it's really sad. I've commented before about how our newspaper seems to be a divisive mechanism, and it seems to be getting worse. But I just like to say, if you don't know something, ask. Don't assume that what you're reading is the truth. And I'm going to start with that because it's really kind of upsetting how people can take the truth and turn it all the way around to try to make it seem or be how they want it to be. But I tell you, I'll say this and I'll end with this. You all who are writing the papers, who are telling the news, you all have a God to answer to. So if you can live with yourself, then peace be with you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Joseph? Mr. Swain?
Yeah, I'd just like to commend Willis and Stevie for the work that you guys are doing with the rec department. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you for the teamwork that you're doing, making our rec department a successful work department. Appreciate the work that both of you guys do. Thank you very much.
Mr. Moore?
I just want to compliment Mr. Neesmith on the stand he took, and if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Same with, I commend you. I not on condone fighting, but I commend you for the stand that you took anyway at the same time. And I'd like to thank all the citizens to whatever you read and whatever you see, evaluate it as for what it is. The newspaper has a right to write freedom of speech, just like each one of us have freedom of speech. And it's up to us to decide what we decide, but there's nothing found on what anybody write, but it is found when we have to answer to it.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have this question because my name was mentioned in the newspaper, and we've had two commissioners to state about commending a stand that was taken. So since those commissioners want to commend somebody for a stand that was taken, the question I have is, what is the stand that you're commending somebody for? What was the stand that was taken? Explain that to me. Explain that to me. You said you commend somebody for a stand they took.
So what's the
That would be up to the commissioner if you want to address that, or if you don't, that's up to you. Your call.
You're saying something you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, let's don't get in. Everybody has the right to express their opinion.
Right, but that's what I'm saying to the people now.
Yes, ma'am.
Know what you're talking about. Know what you're talking about. And it makes no sense, and it's wrong for people to print stuff that's a lie and other folks to say they commend it.
Yes, ma'am, but you had an opportunity.
I know I did, and I still have it. I said it because my name was mentioned. Their names were not mentioned. So I take offense to it. I take offense to them saying about commending somebody for a stand that was taken when they don't even know the stand that they're talking about. I take offense to it. Well, I have, like they said, I have a right to say what I'm saying.
No commissioners mentioned any names here whatsoever.
That's right, they did, other than Neesmith. They mentioned Neesmith's name for the stand he took, and the paper took it that I supported the opposite side of Neesmith, which was a lie.
Nobody said anything about what the paper said. Nobody said anything. This is their opinion. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
They indicated that they were supporting that when they said what they said.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
The night where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now or forever hold your peace. There's a night where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now or forever hold your peace. There's a lion where he's in Judah. See, I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. There's a lion where he's in Judah. See, I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. There's a lion in Judah. I wonder who will wake him. There's a lion in Judah. I wonder who will wake him. Get up now. There's a lion in Judah. I wonder who will wake him. Don't stop.